All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Nicole, and welcome back to our English class. Welcome back to our lesson. Let us continue with it. This is the last day of the week. Okay? It's Friday. Now, let's continue with our lesson on maintaining or carrying a conversation. We've just finished talking about a very important skill, which is on changing a topic. We now have a full toolbox of phrases from by the way to guess what. Well, those phrases are great for smoothly guiding a conversation. The other half of being a great conversationalist is knowing how to keep it going with the person you are talking to. So the next skill we're going to focus under maintaining or carrying is on asking for more details. So you're gonna think about your conversations or the conversations you have with your friends. Do you like it when you are telling a story and the other person just listens and doesn't say anything? Or do you like it more when they nod their head, when they ask questions and show that they are genuinely interested? So asking for more details is one of the most powerful things you can do in a conversation. It shows that you are not listening, but you are also engaged. So it makes the other person feel heard and valued. So it tells them what you are saying is important to me and I want to know more. This is how you build real connections and make conversations feel meaningful. Without asking for details, a conversation can feel very one sided, like a monologue. Okay? Alright. Let's continue right away with our first phrase for asking for more details or clarification, which is so you mean to tell me. For a moment, let me just. Oh, what happened? Okay, let me just adjust the size because I think it's too small. Okay, I think this one's good. All right, let me continue. Our first phrase for this session is so you mean to tell me, and then you will continue. Now, this phrase, this is a good, or if I may say, fantastic tool for a specific purpose. It is a way for you to summarize what you think the other person has said, and then you ask them to confirm if you have understood correctly. Okay, it's like playing back what you heard to them and asking, is this right? Okay, for a moment. It's like asking, is this right? Okay, something like that. So this shows that you are an active, let's say, an active and engaged listener, and it helps prevent any miscommunication. Now, the beauty of this phrase, so you mean to tell me, is that it's very polite. It's a very polite way to double check information. It's especially useful when the information is really complicated, complex, it's surprising, or it's important. By using this phrase, you are not just asking a question, but you are also showing that you have been listening carefully and that you have been processing what they have said. And now, of course, you want to make sure you are on the same page. There are two main ways to, for a moment. Okay, let me continue. Again, there are two main ways to make sure you are on the same page with the person you're talking to. That is, how do you call that? Of course, the tone of your voice is the key to knowing the difference. So let's have the two main ways to use this phrase. No? Let's have the first one for a moment. Let me just adjust the font size quickly because I guess it's too small. Let me have this one. Okay. All right. The first one is, of course, we use this phrase to clarify complex information. Sorry for that. Let me continue. Now, clarify. Okay. All right. This is a great use for this phrase. So you mean to tell me when a person is giving you a lot of details and you need to make sure you have understood everything correctly. It's a way to summarize and to simplify the information. Okay? For example, for a moment. For example, you can imagine you and a classmate, maybe you both are talking about a very complicated homework assignment. So here, your classmate would say, the teacher said we have to read chapters 5 and 6, then write 2-page summary for each, and then create a presentation based on both summaries, all due by Friday. And then you'll say, because you get, it's too complicated, you'll say, you try to clarify. You say, so you mean to tell me we have to do all that for this Friday? I thought the deadline was next week. In this example, your use of the phrase shows that you were listening carefully to all the steps and now you are trying to confirm a crucial detail, which is the deadline. Okay? This helps you avoid making a mistake on your homework and shows that you are a very attentive listener. Aside from that, is we use it to express surprise or disbelief. Okay? Now, this is a fun and common way to use this phrase. When someone tells you something that is so surprising and it's almost hard to believe, you can use this phrase to express your shock and ask for confirmation at the same time. Like imagining a friend tells you very shocking news about another friend. Your friend would say, I get a message from our classmate and he said he's moving to another country next month and he's not coming back. Of course, you would say, so you mean to tell me he's leaving for good? I thought he was just talking about that. I can't believe it. Here, the phrase is used to show disbelief and to ask for confirmation at the same time. So the tone of your voice would be one of surprise and shock. The phrase works perfectly here because it acknowledges what the person said while also expressing your strong reaction to it. Okay? Third is so there are three main ways. I'm sorry. Okay? 3 main ways. All right. Number 3 or third, you use it to confirm an important detail. Okay? This is a very practical use for the phrase when you're planning an event or working on a product with someone and a crucial detail is mentioned. You can use this phrase to confirm that you have the information right. Okay? Like with your colleague, for example, and you plan a big event for your club. Your client or your colleague would say, so the food will be delivered at 1 p.m. and the guests arriving at 2 p.m. will have an hour to set up the food. And then you'll say, so you mean to tell me the food will be there before the guests arrive? That is perfect. I was worried they would be late. In this case, the phrase is used to confirm a detail that is very important for the success of the event. It shows that you are on top of things and that you are making sure all the details are correct. Okay? So it's important to understand the difference between this phrase and the ways of asking for details for the other phrases. Okay? Some of the phrase is this one. So you mean to tell me more about that. What happened next? How did it make you feel, and such things. Okay. All right. Let's have the next phrase. So let me get this straight. Again. So let me get this straight. Let me just a size, because again this is too small. Okay, this one. All right. So let me get this straight. This phrase is a powerful tool for a specific purpose, and that is it's a way for you to summarize a series of events, a list of instructions, or a complex plan, and then ask for confirmation. So it's like you are taking all the puzzle pieces the other person gave you, and sorry for that. Expect that there may times that I have to do that because I cannot really force my yawn to stop. So just a future reminder. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. So here, when you use this phrase, it shows that you are really attentive. No, you want everything to be orderly, especially good for me because anyone who works in it's an essential skill for anyone who works in a group or who needs to follow a series of instructions. This phrase prevents misunderstandings and makes us sure that everyone is on the same page, which is a key part of effective communication, right? Let's have the detailed examples. So for this, different ways to use this particular, this one. Different ways to use this one. Number one is clarifying a series of instructions or a process, meaning that this phrase. So let me get this straight. When someone is giving you a long list of instructions, it's easy to get confused. So this phrase helps to summarize and confirm all the steps. Okay, this is one of the most common and practical uses for this phrase. So let's do that. First, you have to mix the flour and the sugar. Then you add the eggs one by one. Then you put it into the oven for 30 minutes, and then you let it cool for an hour before you can read it. So let me get it straight. You'll say, I mix the dry ingredients, then the eggs, then bake it for 30 minutes, and I have to wait an hour to eat it. In this example, your use of the phrase always shows that you are listening to all the steps and you are putting them in order to make sure you have the process correct. So this helps you avoid making a mistake and shows that you are a very careful listener. Okay? Number two, you want to confirm a complex plan. Okay? This phrase is perfect for when you are working on a group project or planning an event with someone and the plan has many parts. It helps you make sure that all the details are correct and that everyone knows their role. Okay? Alright. For example, you can imagine you and your classmate are planning a group project with many steps. Your classmate would say, I'll do the research for a presentation, you'll do the writing, and then we'll meet on Friday to put the slides together. The final deadline is on Monday, so we have a lot of time to get it right. You will say, by using the phrase, you'll say, so let me get this straight. You're handling the research, I'm doing the writing, we're both doing the presentation on Friday, and the deadline is Monday. Okay? So the phrase, it is used to summarize the plan and confirm all the details. This is an essential skill for teamwork as it makes sure that everyone is on the same page and that there are no misunderstandings as much as possible. Okay? Number three, you summarizing a complicated story. Now, sometimes a friend will tell you a story that has a lot of details and you might get a little lost. I'm sorry. So let me get straight is a great way to show that you are trying to follow along and to make sure you have the key points right. Okay? For example, Still with your friend, she is telling you a long and complicated story about a problem they had with the store. Your friend will say, I went to the store and the cashier gave me the wrong change. I went back to get the right amount, but the cashier said she couldn't give it to me because the manager wasn't there. Then later the manager called me to apologize that I could get my money back tomorrow. You You'll say, so let me get this straight. They gave you the wrong change, then refused to fix it, and you have to go back tomorrow just to get your money back. And this is an example. You are good. You use the phrase to summarize all the different parts of the day and to show that you have understood. Okay? Or I have mentioned that I will be using really this one. Okay? Alright. Next one. Okay. Let me adjust the size quickly because I think you couldn't really see it. Okay, I think this one's good already. Now, so you are saying that. That is our phrase. Now, this phrase, it is a powerful tool for showing empathy and making sure you are truly understanding the other person's point of view. So, the other phrase earlier, so you mean to tell me it is about confirming facts. So you are saying that is also another phrase. It is about paraphrasing and confirming someone's feelings, someone's opinions, or a complex idea in your own words. It's like you're taking their words and rephrasing them to show I am not just hearing your words. I am trying to understand the meaning behind them. Okay, so you use this phrase. Using this phrase is a key part for active listening. It tells the other person that you are not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're fully engaged in what they are saying. This makes them feel validated and understood, which is a cornerstone of any good relationship. It can be used in both casual and more serious conversations, and the tone of your voice is the key to knowing the difference. Okay? Now, different ways to use this. Let me put just here ways. Okay, ways. So, for example, a phrase or a way to use this is for paraphrasing for emotional understanding. Again, paraphrasing for emotional understanding. Okay, so this is one of the most empathetic uses of. So you are saying that when a person is sharing their feelings of a difficult situation they're in, you can use this phrase to paraphrase what they said and show that you're trying to understand their emotions. Okay? All right. For example, imagine your friend uses of. So you're going to say. So you are saying that. So the person is sharing their feelings or a difficult situation they're in. You can use this phrase to paraphrase what they said and show that you are trying to understand their emotions. Okay? Alright. 2. You use this to paraphrase for paraphrasing or paraphrasing. Alright, I'm sorry. It's not or, but yes. Paraphrasing for clarifying an opinion. This is another area for work. Okay. All right. Now, this phrase, it's also great for when you are discussing a complex topic or a point of view. You can use it to rephrase what the other person said to make sure you have your own opinion right. Okay. All right. That's the second one. Third and last one is use it to politely change a POV or point of view. Okay? So you are saying that phrase can also be used as a tool for polite debate. So by rephrasing what the other person said in your own words, you can make sure you are addressing their point correctly before you respond. This is a very respectful way to have a disagreement. Okay? Now, in this case, your use of the phrase shows that you are listening and trying to understand their point before you present your own. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next phrase. We already covered 3 so far. There's more. And the next one is so what's happened next? So what happened next? Okay. Now this is a way to encourage the person you are talking to continue their story. It's a way of saying, I am really hooked. Your story is so interesting and I can't wait to hear the rest of it. So this shows that you are not just helping, not just listening, but also you're genuinely invested in their narrative. Because using this phrase, so what's happened next? It is a great way to build suspense and keep a conversation moving forward. It's a simple question, but it has a big impact because it shows that you are an active and engaged listener. Okay? This makes the person you are talking to feel comfortable with you and feel encouraged to share more. So it's an essential skill for anyone who wants to be a great conversationalist. Okay? All right. Let's look at some detailed examples, of how to use this phrase. Detailed example. This is for, let's include ways. First is for funny story. Okay? This is a perfect use for so what happened next. When a person tells you a funny story, this phrase is a great way to show that you are enjoying it and you want to hear the punchline. Okay? Alright. Number 2, for surprising story. Surprising story. When a person tells you that, how'd you call that? That is so surprising that it's hard to believe. You can use this phrase to show your shock and to encourage them to continue their performance. Okay? Alright. Number 3 and last one is for dramatic or difficult story. Okay? Alright. When it comes to this one, you can imagine a friend. Imagine a friend is telling you about a difficult problem that they have, no? Maybe in a project school, your friend would say, I was trying to solve this difficult problem for our first project, and I thought I couldn't get it right. I was so frustrated and I was about to give up. And then you could say as a response, you did. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh no, that sounds so difficult. I'm sorry to hear that. So, what happened next? How did you solve it? Here you use the phrase to show that you are listening with empathy and that you are curious about how they overcame the challenge. Okay? So that is the third one, right? This makes them feel supported and encouraged to, encouraged to share the rest of their story to the other person or to you. Okay? That is for dramatic or difficult story. All right. Any clarification so far? Is everybody following? Okay, I guess everybody's following. Let's continue with another phrase because there's plenty of phrases for today. Our phrase for now is, so what are you going to do? Again, so what are you going to do? Now this phrase is used when a person has just told about a problem, a plan, a difficult situation, or a new goal. Instead of just listening, this phrase this phrase allows you to show that you are actively thinking with them about the next step. So it's always saying, I hear you and I'm here to support you. So what is your plan of action? Something like that. So what are you going to do? It's a great way to show that you are a good friend, a good colleague, or a supportive classmate. It is a very practical and action oriented question that moves the conversation from just talking about a problem to thinking about a solution. It is a key part of being a helpful and supportive conversationalist. It is very important to use this phrase when with an encouraging and supportive tone, not a demanding or critical one. So the goal is to help the other person think through their options, not to put them on the spot or making them feel like they have to have all the answers right now. Okay? Now the different ways to this is or are first for a difficult situation or a problem. Okay? This is the first way and when using this particular phrase. So what are you going to do? First, you can say you have a difficult situation or a problem. So you can use this when a friend is telling you about a problem. This phrase is a perfect way to show your support and help them think about a solution. Okay? Number 2, for a new plan or a goal. Okay? For a new plan or a goal. It is perfect for when a person is telling you about a new plan or a new goal they have. So it's a way to show your enthusiasm and to help them think about the first steps. Okay? 3, for a difficult decision. Okay? This phrase is useful for when a friend is telling you about a difficult decision they have to make. So it's a supportive way to help them think through their options without telling them what exactly to do. Okay? For a difficult decision, you can use this phrase. So what are you going to do? Something like that. Okay? Alright. Let's move on to the next phrase, which is very simple. So, what's next? Again, so what's next? Now this phrase is it is used when a person has just finished telling you about a story, has just finished telling you about a plan or an event, and the ending is either unfinished or there is a clear next step. No, it's a way of saying, I am curious about the future of this education or of this situation, or I'm ready for the next part of the story. So this shows that you are not only listening but are also invested in the outcome of the situation. So using this phrase, so what's next, it is a great way to show that you are forward-looking conversationalist. It keeps the conversation moving forward and shows that you are thinking ahead. So this phrase is a key part of being helpful and engaged communicator, and it leads not led, but it can be used in both casual and more formal settings like a group project or a meeting. Okay? For example, in this phrase, there are 3 main ways to use this. First is for a plan with multiple steps. You can use this phrase when someone is telling you about a big plan they have it just finished talking about the first step. So this phrase, it is a perfect way to show your interest in the rest of the plan. Okay? So that is for a plan with multiple steps. Next is for a story with an unfinished editing. Okay? Alright. Not number 3, but let me just explain quickly what number 2 is. For a story with an unfinished ending. This is a fun and common use for this phrase. So what's next? When a friend tells you a story that has a cliffhanger or unresolved ending, this phrase is a great way to show that you are hooked and you want to know what happens. Okay? And lastly, aside from that, is we have for a difficult decision that has been made. Okay? It's useful for when a person has just told you about a difficult decision they have made. So it's a way to show your support and to help them think about the future implications of their decision. Okay? All right. For a moment, let me just, drink some water because my throat is really dry. I hope you understand that. For a moment, for a moment. Oh, okay. Thank you. I feel so refreshed. No, I've been so thirsty since the beginning. Anyway, this is the phrase. So what's next? And yeah, this is our um sixth phrase of the day. Let's move on to the seventh, which is so what do you think? Again, so what do you think? Right? When it comes to this phrase, it is used when you want to invite someone to like share their opinion to you, share their perspective to you, share their advice to you, especially on a topic. So it's a way of saying your thoughts are important to me and I want you to hear them. And not I want you, but I want to hear them. Okay? This phrase shows that you are not just leading in conversation, but you want to have a collaborative two-way discussion. So using this phrase is a key part of being a good conversationalist and a good leader. It makes the other person feel valued and it helps you get a different perspective on a topic. It's a very democratic way of communicating and it's a great way to get others involved in the conversation. Okay? All right. Let's have this one. The different ways to do this is first for a new plan or idea. Okay? Again, for a new plan or idea. When you have a new idea or a plan, this phrase is a perfect way to show that you are open to feedback and that you want to work together. Okay? You're open to feedback. That's basically it. So that's the first way. The second way is for a discussion. For a discussion or a debate. Okay? This is useful. The phrase, so what you think, that is useful for when you're having a discussion about a controversial topic. It's a way to show that you are a good listener and that you value the other person's opinion even if you don't agree with them. Okay? For example, imagine you and a colleague are having a discussion about a new city policy. Your colleague would say, I've been reading a lot about the new city policy and I think it has a lot of good points, but I am worried about the cost. You'll say, yeah, I've been thinking about that too. So, what do you think are the biggest pros and cons of the new policy? What do you think? Now, in this case, the phrase is used to show that you are interested in their opinion and that you want to have a discussion about it. So, it's a very respectful way to communicate and to learn from each other. Okay? All right. Now, in this case, the phrase is used to show that you are interested in their opinion and that you want to have like a discussion about it. So it's a very respectful way to communicate and to learn from each other. That is our second way to use this phrase. Second most common way. Okay? All right. Now, and I think that's the last. Wait for a moment. Yeah, that's the second one. And then the last one is for a difficult decision. Let me write it down. Okay. For a difficult decision, meaning that this phrase, let me highlight it again for you. So, what do you think? This is also perfect when someone is telling you about a difficult decision they have to make. It's a way to show that you are there to support them and to help them think through their options. Okay? All right. For example, your friend is having a hard time choosing between two jobs. For example, your friend would say, I have to choose between these two jobs, and I don't know what to do. They both have their pros and cons. You'd say that's a tough one. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. So what do you think are the most important things for you in a job right now? You use this phrase to show that you are listening with empathy and that you are helping them think about the most important things to consider in their decision. So this is a very helpful and supportive way to communicate. Okay? All right. That is for so what do you think? Okay? Now so far we've talked about we've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are already 7 phrases that we've talked about. First is, so you mean to tell me? Next, so let me get it straight. Third, so you are saying that. Fourth, so what's happened next? And fifth, so what are you going to do? Okay? It's important to understand the subtle differences between this phrase and the other ones we have learned. Okay? Alright. Now, when we use this phrase, so what do you think? There are also other ways in similar to that, right? We are going to do that. You could say, so what do you think? So what's next? So what are you going to do? So you're saying that. So you mean to tell me. So let me get it straight. Okay? Alright. You gotta tell me more. Hello again, everyone. We have learned so many great ways to keep a conversation going. We have gone from simply acknowledging what someone said with rejoinders to changing the topic, and how we're wrapping this up for our discussion and asking for more details. Today we have our we have our phrase here, final phrase for this section, and it's a great one for showing genuine interest and enthusiasm. Okay? Okay. So, sorry. Where's the other one? Alright. This one is our phrase. Sorry, I haven't checked the slide. It was really not shown. Again, our phrase. Oh, what happened? Okay, this one. Our phrase is, okay, you gotta tell me more. This is, if I may say, this is an enthusiastic way to encourage someone to continue their story. So it's not just a polite question, it's a direct statement that shows you're genuinely invested in what they are saying and you want to hear all of the details. No, this phrase signals to the speaker that you are an active and engaged listener and that their story is important to you. So using this phrase is a great way to build rapport and make other person feel heard and valued. It's perfect for both casual and more signing stories, and the tone of your voice is the key to knowing the difference. It is a very encouraging and friendly phrase to use. Okay? For example, what are the different uses or ways to use this phrase? This is for a surprising or interesting story. Okay? Let me change that one. Ways first for us, you use this for a surprising or interesting story. You could say, when a person tells you a story that is so surprising or that is so interesting that it's hard to believe, the phrase is a great way to show you your excitement and to produce them to continue. Okay? Alright. Let's have the second. It is for a problem or changing situation. Okay? This is for a problem or not changing, I think challenging, right? Okay, challenging situation. This is useful for a person when a person is telling you about a problem or a difficult situation they have faced. It shows that you are listening and that you are a supportive friend who wants to know how they handle the situation. Okay? So your friend is telling you about a difficult problem they had with a project or at school. For example, your friend would say, I was trying to solve this difficult problem for our period, and I couldn't get it right. I was so frustrated and I was about to give up. And then you reply, oh no, that sounds difficult. Okay, you gotta tell me more. What did you do to solve it? How did you feel about it? Okay? Alright. So this makes them feel supported and encouraged to share about the rest of the history of CTU. Okay? Alright, that's the second one. Okay. Next is, what exactly do you mean by? What exactly do you mean by? When? What do you think? For a moment, let me just make this bigger. Or maybe 32. Oh, all right, that's good. What exactly do you mean by? Okay, this is any ideas for this one? Well, this phrase, it is used when a person says something like a word, a phrase, or an idea that is so unclear to you and you want to get a more precise explanation. It is different from asking for more information in a general sense. This phrase is about pinpointing a specific term or concept that you need to be clarified with. Okay? Alright, let's look at some detailed examples of how to use this phrase in different situations, especially when it comes to your job. Okay? Alright. So different ways to do that or to use this phrase is, first, you want to for clarification for a technical term or jargon. Okay? All right. Sorry for that. All right. For a technical term or jargon. So this is a perfect use for what exactly do you mean by that? When a person uses a technical term or jargon that you don't fully understand, this phrase is a polite and direct way to ask for a clearer explanation. Okay? All right. Next is for an ambiguous or vague statement. Okay? It is for when a person makes a statement that is a little ambiguous or vague or not clear, basically not clear to you. It helps you when this three came, you could say that they have built a good relationship with each other. And here the phrase is, what exactly do you mean by that? The ways are for a technical term or jargon, for an ambiguous or vague statement. So these two examples have different workers for that. Okay? All right. Next to this is, can you elaborate on that? Now, I've mentioned about elaborating. Okay? So, can you elaborate on that? Do we have already a sure? Okay. Can you elaborate on that? Okay, that's the comment. It melted, I think. Anyway, this is important to understand that Subtle difference, very little differences. This phrase and the other ones we have learned for education. There's always this subtle difference. Okay. For example, okay, or can you elaborate on that? When it comes to elaborating, you say something more about this about the topic. Okay, you do that. All right. Let's have this one. Ways. Now, ways to do that is you'll say it's important to understand subtle the phrase and the other ones we've learned. Some phrases that we've learned that are similar to this one is, okay, you gotta tell me more. So what do you think? So what's next? So what are you going to do? So you're saying that. So you mean to tell me? So let me get this straight. Okay. These are all really um in a wonderful phase for a very specific purpose. Key for that is a part of being an active, enlarged, and supportive listener. Okay. All right. What do you exactly mean by that? This is the phrase is a powerful tool for academic purpose if it's used when a person says something, a word, a phrase, or an idea that is unclear to you, okay? And you want to get a more precise explanation. So it's different from asking for more information in a general sense. So this phrase is about pinpointing a specific term or concept that you need to be clarified. Okay? It shows that you are not just passively listening here, you are also actively engaging with the conversation at hand and making sure you are on the same page. Okay? This is very important skill, especially in academic or professional settings where a misunderstanding of one word can change the entire meaning of a discussion. Okay? For example, for a technical term or jargon, when a person uses a technical term or jargon that you don't fully understand, this phrase is so polite and direct way to ask it, clear explanation. All right. Number 2, for an ambiguous or not clear or vague statement. Okay? This phrase is great for when a person makes a statement that is a little ambiguous or vague. It helps you get a clearer understanding of what they're trying to say. Okay? All right. That is for, can you elaborate that on that? What do you think? For a moment, everyone. All right. Again, our next phrase is, can you elaborate on that? So these are the different ways to use that. First is for technical term or jargon, meaning that when it comes to technical term or jargon, there are words that are really hard to know or to understand because again, this is technical term, this is jargon. The words here are specific for one profession, only one. It's like a profession or a job vocabulary. Okay. For example, you can imagine you and a classmate are talking about a difficult academic paper. You do that, and then it helps you get a clear. All right. Okay. All right. That's good. Now, for an ambiguous or vague statement, not clear, your message is not clearly shown or given. So, for example, imagine a friend tells you about a new restaurant they hired. Your friend would say the food was really good, but the overall vibe of the restaurant was a little off. And then, of course, you'll reply, "That's a shame about the vibe. What exactly do you mean by the vibe was a little off?" So here, you use the phrase to get a clear understanding of our friend's opinion. This helps you understand their feelings and shows that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say. Okay? All right. Now, when it comes to this one, how to use what can you elaborate on that? Where's elaborate on that? Anyway, this is for the second to the last. I know, not the second to the last. But this is the last phrase for today. Okay? Alright. This is the last phrase for the day. Um, for ambiguous or vague statement. This one, maybe, for an ambiguous or vague statement, maybe a clear understanding of what they're trying to say. So imagine a friend tells you about a new restaurant they tried. Your friend would say the food was really good, but the overall vibe of the restaurant was a little off. Okay? That is a shame about the vibe. Like, what exactly do you mean by the vibe was a little off? Okay? Alright. Alright. So here you use the phrase to get a clear understanding of your friend's group. I from You are from another section, for example. So can you elaborate on that? Can you elaborate on that? All right. Next, in for a moment. All right. You have to fill me on the details. This is the last one. Okay? Asking for more details or clarification. Let me just put it here. Oh no. All right. This one. You have to fill me in on the details. Okay? This is the last phrase. All right. So yes, you do this for when it comes to asking for more information about something. You use this. You have to fill me on the details. You can ask them to do that. You can ask your partner in the conversation to do that. You have to fill me on the details. You have to explain me about that. I have to know about this, something like that. Okay? All right. So this is the last phrase for today, which is under asking for more details in conversation. So we have really spent a lot of time in asking for more details or clarification. So this is probably the most important part of being a good conversationalist, because it shows that you are actively listening and you like care about what the other person is saying. We already learned a lot from you, whole bunch of phrases for different situations, from confirming a surprising fact with "so you mean to tell me" to asking for stories ending with "so what's happened next." We also learned how to use more specific and precise phrase, like "what exactly do you mean by" when we need to clearly clarify a specific point. The main takeaway here is that these phrases are your tools for connecting with people. They help you be a more empathetic, engaged, and interesting communicator. So my challenge for you all is to try to use at least one of these phrases in your conversations this week, because I always believe that practice makes perfect. Okay? What are the phrases? There are three. I'm sorry. 3, 6, 9. Okay. All right. The phrases that we've talked about today are: first, "so you mean to tell me"; next, "so let me get it straight"; next, "so you're saying that"; next, "so what's happened next"; continuing, "so what are you going to do"; and "so what's next". So what's next? Okay, so what do you think? All right, this is the last phrase of the day. Let me go over them quickly. All right. right. Any questions before we end our class? Any clarifications that you would want to say? Any clarifications? None? Well, all right, everyone, we've made it to the end of our lecture on maintaining or carrying a conversation. So you all did a fantastic job with this challenging, very important topic. I hope you feel a little bit more confident about keeping a conversation lively and interesting. So just to recap, we covered three main sections today. Sorry. Three main sections today. So first, we learned about using rejoinders to show our feelings and keep a conversation. Let me just go over to the slide for this one. Okay, maintaining or carrying two, and this is the last you know how do you call it, last set of phrases for maintaining or carrying. We'll talk about another set of small talk. Okay, here it's rejoinders. We'll learn about rejoinders to show our feelings and keep a conversation dynamic, which we saw how simple phrases like "oh wow" or "you're kidding right" can show that we are dramatically paying attention, that we have a genuine reaction to what's being said. So that's how do you call that, a tactile away. Okay, finally, we spent a lot of time on asking for more details or conversations. Okay, all right. Finally, we spend a lot of time asking for more details or clarification. So this is probably the most important part of being a good conversationalist. Because it shows that you are actively listening and you care about what the other person is saying. We learned a whole bunch of phrases for when people is asking. Okay, but there are already many of them. All right. The main takeaway here is that these frames are your tools for connecting with big this. They help you would be a more empathetic, engaged, and interesting communicator. Okay, all right. That concludes our lecture on maintaining and carrying a conversation. Too. Thank you so much for your hard work and create a work and important scenario. Okay, all right. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone, and have a great rest of the night ahead.